So what you want your students, your patients, your players, whoever you're working with, is to become aware of their own errors. Okay, a skilled performer is one that can detect their own errors. Okay, when kids are first learning a skill, that's an easy way to think about it, they don't even know what they're doing. They don't know, and they have no sense of where their body parts should be in space. They've kind of, maybe you've, did a model for them and, they looked at you like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. Then they try it, and it's all herky-jerky, and they can't get it accomplished. And eventually they start to get it down. Okay, one of the last steps. So one of the marks of a more skilled performer is that they can evaluate their own performance. Okay, they don't need a coach saying, you didn't step right, or, when my daughter's pitching, let's say she might cross the midline on her step as opposed to step right forward. Okay. A year ago, the coach had to tell her, oh, you're crossing your midline, or you didn't turn your hip, or those things. But now she's getting to the point where when she makes a bad pitch, she can tell you what she did wrong. Okay, and that's going to be based on what? Probably not visual, because she's looking at the glove. That's going to be based on kinesthetic awareness. Okay, information from her body is not matching up from what she expects it to feel like. Okay, and that's what you're trying to move your players or your patients to, where they can self-evaluate and detect movement errors. It's one thing, and then there's a, kind of a classification of that, or levels of that. One is, okay, I know that didn't feel right. Okay, then you want to get to the level of they can tell you it didn't feel right because what? I didn't do a certain thing. I didn't get my hip around, or I stepped across the midline, or whatever. So the first step is being able to detect there's errors that it didn't feel right. And the next is actually knowing what it is that caused it not to feel right, and then hopefully use that information to correct the next movement. Okay, so that's how you use this sensory information in, in movement control. So, we've all probably experienced this when you're teaching little kids, or when we were little kids. Coaches are always saying, well, what'd that feel like? Did that feel right? That kind of language. So when you're trying to teach people, you want to keep planting that idea that you have conscious sensation of movement in their mind. Okay, as they're performing actions, you want to keep reminding them that they can feel their body. Get them to start to attend to that information. So over time, pretty soon it'll become natural that they can just feel that that was a movement error. Like sometimes, on some days when I play basketball, I don't need to look to see if the shot went in, because it just felt right and it's going to go in 95% of the time. There are other days that I don't have to look to see if it's going to go in, because I know it's a brick. It just didn't feel right. Okay, and all of us that do any movement activities have that same experience. Okay, and then there are days that everything just goes right. What do they call that in athletics? Right, when you're in the zone, where just everything is flowing, so everything you expect to happen is happening in your body in terms of its sensory system is confirming that.